Imagine the worst psychological nightmare an elite competitor can face. You have trained your entire life. You have the best genetics, the best resources, the most refined technique, and biology entirely on your side. You step into the arena with the absolute certainty of victory. But right in the middle of the battle, your brain freezes. You realize, with a cold terror creeping up your spine, that the man standing across from you isn't there to compete. He is there to die if he has to. This is the premise of one of the most brilliant and terrifying confrontations in cinematic history. Released in 1997, the movie Gattaca introduces us to a dystopian future where your success isn't determined by your hard work, but by a single drop of blood taken the moment you are born. Society has been divided between the genetic gods and the rejected invalids. Today, we are going to dissect the most iconic scene of this masterpiece. We will understand what happens in the mind of a perfect man when he realizes that his imperfect opponent has weaponized pure despair into absolute power. We are going to deconstruct the prison of the ego, the death of logic, and the brutal psychological concept of burning your boats. Brace your mind, because we are going swimming in the dark. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Perfection and Anton's Prison. For the protagonist, Vincent's victory to hit with devastating force, we first need to understand the mind of his brother and greatest rival, Anton. In Gattaca, genetic engineering has created a caste of flawless human beings. Anton is the apex of this system. He was born with laboratory-edited DNA, ensuring no diseases, no myopia, no heart defects, and absolute physical superiority in every imaginable aspect. From the day he opened his eyes in the nursery, the system whispered in Anton's ear that he was a god walking among mortals. And that is exactly where his greatest curse lies. The comfort of a guarantee destroyed the perfect man's mind. Because of his flawless genetics, Anton never actually had to test the true depths of his own limits. Success for him wasn't something earned through grueling hardship. It was simply expected. Anton's perfection became his greatest psychological weakness. His mind is excessively rational. When he faces a challenge, his brain immediately calculates the risk, measures the available energy in his body, and above all, meticulously plans the energy required for the trip back home. Anton steps into the ocean to beat his brother, yes, but he would never, under any circumstances, be willing to die for the win. His instinct for self-preservation keeps him chained to logic. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Burning the Boats. And entering at the exact opposite end of that self-preservation logic is our protagonist, Vincent. He was a faith birth, born naturally, full of genetic flaws, with a short life expectancy and a fragile heart. To the system, he is organic trash destined to scrub the laboratory floors. But Vincent possesses something that laboratory biology cannot sequence. He uses the brutal psychology of burning the boats. This historical concept dictates that when you march into battle and destroy your own ships, your army understands that defeat doesn't mean a safe retreat. Defeat means total annihilation. The death of Plan B. When you have a guaranteed escape route, when you save energy to swim back to safety, your mind unconsciously enters a resource-saving mode. The brain spares the body. But when you mentally destroy that escape route, your brain enters a state of absolute survival, releasing every drop of adrenaline and endurance the human machine can withstand. Vincent wasn't physically stronger than his brother, but for Vincent, losing that swimming duel meant going back to scrubbing the glass floors of Gattaca, going back to a life he considered far worse than death itself. He took pure despair and turned it into an inexhaustible fuel. Chapter 3. The Duel in the Dark Ocean and the Death of Ego. All this psychological tension detonates in the legendary ocean duel scene. The rule of the game the two brothers created in childhood was simple. Swim straight out, away from the shore, and the first one to get scared and turn back is the loser. It's a high-stakes game of chicken. Choosing the open ocean in the dead of night is a brilliant directorial metaphor. They are swimming in pitch black, under cold rain, unable to see the coastline behind them. The freezing, relentless water represents primordial chaos. Anton, the man built to inhabit a sterile, clean, and predictable world, begins to collapse because he cannot handle the unpredictability of violent nature. Anton's breakdown doesn't happen in his muscles. He doesn't suffer a cramp, and he doesn't swallow water out of physical weakness. His defeat is 100% psychological. The laboratory man loses the race. The exact millisecond he stops looking forward, breaks his stroke, and looks back in fear, searching for the safety of the shore. Anton's physical limit is entirely dictated by his fear of death. Meanwhile, Vincent's limit simply ceased to exist. The ocean swallowed the perfect man's ego. Chapter 4. The brutal dialogue and the revelation of the monster. It's in the setting of chaos and saltwater crashing against their faces that we are hit with the absolute climax of the film. Exhaustion hits Anton hard, and desperation takes over the genetically superior brother's eyes. He looks at Vincent, a man who by all biological metrics should be dead from cardiac arrest in the middle of the sea, and asks the exact question the entire system would ask. How are you doing this? Anton desperately searches for a logical answer. Biology says Vincent's endurance is mathematically impossible. Anton wants to hear about secret training, hidden performance-enhancing drugs, or a dirty trick. He begs for an explanation that science can put in a test tube. But Vincent's answer is far more terrifying than any genetic cheat code. Vincent looks his panicked brother in the eyes and says that the only way he did it was by never saving anything for the swimback. That iconic line is the open confession of a suicide mission. Right then and there, Vincent reveals that he entered the water accepting it was a one-way trip. The absolute terror in Anton's eyes upon hearing this is the realization that he wasn't competing against an athlete trying to win a bet. He was swimming against a man who had already made peace with his own death in exchange for proving he was free. Chapter 5. The Verdict and Real Evolution. The end of this clash destroys all the foundations of Gattaca's world. The society portrayed in the film figured out how to measure IQ, calculate the probability of a stroke, and predict muscular strength from a single drop of blood from a baby's heel. But what Vincent's victory throws in the viewer's face is that no scientist in the world has ever been able to invent a blood test to measure obsession. True human evolution doesn't happen when we erase our flaws in a lab. The movie proves that the human spirit is gloriously unpredictable and chaotic. Vincent's biological vulnerability, his mortal fragility, and his rebellion against a pre-programmed destiny were the exact fuels that generated the absurd resilience that took him to the stars. His flaw birthed a greatness that Anton's perfection could never achieve. Conclusion: the price of greatness. At the end of the day, the nightmare of facing someone who has erased their own escape route is discovering that your logic is useless against an unrelenting will. Gattaca teaches us that, in some of life's battles, the only way to move forward and cross the finish line is to stop looking back for a safe harbor. To achieve the impossible, you must accept that saving energy for the return trip might just be your biggest mistake. In Gattaca, we watch the survival of a single man against the system. But what happens when the entire system collapses all at once? If you want to understand what happens to our minds when society enters an absolute freefall, click right now on the video popping up on your screen. Why do we love the beginning of zombie apocalypse movies? Come with me to uncover the psychological secret that makes us so obsessed with the first 10 minutes of humanity's downfall. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll meet you there at the end of the world.